The best of the Morning X on 99X. Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. The original 99X.
So this is Backstage in a very dark room. It was me and Leslie with Jane's Addiction. Let's go to Backstage from Lollapalooza last night. New Rock 99X. Barnes and Leslie backstage at Lollapalooza. Dave is here. Chris is here. Perry is here. Steven is here. We're holding court with the entire band, which is rare. We always get Perry about 6 a.m. when he's not knowing where he is. And he's always thrilled to be there, but they put you through pain, don't they? Waking you up out there on the West Coast.
Well, I just don't go to bed, you see.
You just stay up and do them?
Yeah, there you go.
The biggest question that everybody wants to know is what took so long? Everyone wants to know why so long.
Let me just tell you this. This is Dave here.
Because you all went off and did your side projects.
True,
you put
but
the B-side stuff
We've
out.
been a band since 1997. You know, we did a tour in 97. We did a tour in 2001. And then after 2001, we did the studio album, Strays, which just came out.
Which is kick-ass, I might add.
Thank you. So if you think about it, playing together since 97 isn't really that long.
But being together but not putting out a studio album, I guess, is more precise of a question. I should have asked it that way. What took so long for that?
To us, it didn't take long at all. It took no time. Because we did this 2001 Jubilee tour, and right after that, we were in the studio. Like, the Jubilee ended in December, and we were in the studio, like, in February and March. And
yeah, we went so fast that we didn't wait around for a record company or anybody to tell us when we should start recording. We just basically started calling up studios ourselves and producers, and decided to work with Bob Ezrin, and thank God he decided to work with us.
I mean, it was like a teaser when you guys were out on the road, but there was no new album. You know what I mean? It was just kind of an appetizer, if you will.
Well, see, it's an appetizer to an amazing meal that
That
you've
it
just
is.
been served last July 22nd.
We're really excited about Lollapalooza being back together. I mean, people that went to the, Lollapalooza in the 90s are just freaked out that it's back, and they're very excited. Did you guys ever think about putting out like some sort of historical book about Lollapalooza where bands could talk about their stories, or even a DVD of some of the performances?
You know, back in the day, we like to keep things without having to kind of capitalize on what we were doing.
Sure.
So unfortunately, any records of Lollapalooza will have been maintained by, individuals like Stephen Perkins love to keep track of what we were doing individually, but we never really put a big effort to try to, the ancillary things that people do these days, which I think they're good ideas, and especially now that everybody, watches DVDs, I think it's an amazing thing, and hopefully we can get one off this year, but it's going to be one of those things that's going to just make for great tales, you know what I mean?
So many of my friends have just stories from Lollapalooza, like their first big concert or just a memory that they had about it. I wanted to ask each of you guys, back when you were first starting to go to shows, what was that one show that just did it for you?
Well, the first show that I attended that did it for me was Kiss with Cheap Trick opening at the Fabulous Forum in Los Angeles. And that was the show that pretty much convinced me that playing rock music on a live platform is exactly what I wanted to do. I had thought that that's what I wanted to do after, hearing Hendrix, and that was what got me into music. But seeing that performance, and I think that it makes sense because they are very flamboyant and put on an amazing show, and maybe it's no coincidence that I ended up in a band that does just that.
Excellent.
Go ahead, Chris.
Probably, I think it was the first arena tour with U2, Unforgettable Fire. Just unbelievable.
Awesome.
At the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
That'll give you chills.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was great. I was a little guy.
I would say it was the US Festival when I guess it was people like the Grateful Dead and the Talking Heads and David Bowie and Van Halen, to name a few of the people. But I had a weird feeling bopping around with no shoes on in the dirt in California that I would be doing that very thing. That sounds pretty far-fetched, right?
Well, that's pretty impressive because he went from being a kid with, I think he had a mohawk back then.
I had a mohawk.
He had a mohawk and no shoes, and now
That's
he's
right.
the founder and creator of this amazing tour that we're on. So that's some pretty good foresight.
And just earlier today, he stepped in something and he had no shoes walking around Lollapalooza.
That's Steven talking, by the way.
This is.
And now I have plans to throw festivals on the moon, and I think that's coming soon.
Beautiful.
Coming soon.
We've already
Festivals
booked
on
one
the
act. It's
moon.
Lance Bass solo.
Steven, what's your answer?
I was a young boy at a bar mitzvah. And
That
I saw the drummer, and I said, I want to do that.
Cool.
My first concert was Queen. It was kind of the opposite of what Dave went to. It was very theatrical, but it was kind of more.
Queen though, that was an event.
It
more
really
than just a
was. It
straight
really
up rock
affected
show.
me. And the theater from that night, I really couldn't see it again. I saw Cheap Trick and Supertramp and a bunch of shows later on. Never compared to Queen.
Perry, it's kind of wild how you created, Lollapalooza and how and after Ritual in the early '90s and when you guys kind of disappeared for a while, the alternative era really picked up steam, all the way through, and then you guys were kind of, not around. Then Lollapalooza comes back around, now a new album from you guys. It's almost like hopefully a new beginning for an era that's I think the music has really taken a dive. Lately in the last couple of years, it's needed, a new Jane's album has been needed.
I appreciate that. The way I look at it is, I think that what's happened is, you like to eat fruit, right?
Yep.
Me too. I love fruit. But I remember when I was a little boy, the fruit was sweeter. It can't be that fruit's sweeter. So I had to really put my mind to it. What is it that's with fruit that it doesn't taste that sweet? And the answer is, they don't let it ripen before they serve it to you these days. There's so many, like you go to a restaurant, they don't wait for it. So the reason I'm telling you all this is I think that music is just as sweet as it always has been.
Dave's laughing
But
at
unfortunately...
I'm laughing with him, not at him.
Unfortunately, I think that record companies tend to pull the musical fruit from the vine before it's time and put it out there and serve it to you. I think that these bands that you're listening to are good bands sometimes, but they shouldn't really, be at the top of a playlist yet. And so you're hearing kind of green music. I think
that's a great analogy. I think you're absolutely right. There's no room for artist development anymore, and it's really sad for the artists.
Right.
Well, when I hear your guitar kick in on Just Because, that just fires me up. This album is such a welcome,
Thank you.
Just piece of good fruit.
Speaking of that guitar part at the beginning of Just Because, let's check it out.